Alright guys, so before we finish off the stream, we're gonna have one of the usual talks. This one is actually from the Big House Compendium. So when Big House had a compendium for their tournament, one of the things you could buy was for me to discuss a topic of your choice. So one of these topics I'm gonna go over today, and the topic is thoughts on other regions being dominant in Smash 64 / waterfall bracket / growing the community. So we're gonna go over that today, and to start things off with thoughts on other regions being dominant is something I find very interesting and very amazing. In Smash 64 you can see players from so many more countries having a chance to compete at the highest level. You have quite a few good players from Peru, Japan. You have Super Boom in Canada, Wizzy, Isaiah in the US, among others. So I feel like it adds a different dynamic to the community and the scene. We could kind of see a similar thing when I went to the US. All of a sudden it became like Europe against the US, and a lot of people love that hype. In Smash 4 and Smash 64, you see that, but with so many more countries and continents, which is honestly amazing. That's one of the things I'm the most jealous of 64 and Smash 4, that I feel like we don't really have in Melee to the same degree. Like, of course, we still have players from other countries doing a good job, but especially compared to Smash 4, I feel like Melee could do much better here. But for the Smash 64 community, I feel like that's something they should, how do you say, value a lot. And I feel like they do that with SmashCon. They're often flying out players to SmashCon, and that's kind of their super major of the year, which is very cool. Who knows, one day maybe I will be able to watch it in person. But other regions being dominant and having like high level players, it's amazing. So try to promote that even more if possible. It's a huge thing you guys have going for you. The waterfall bracket. So for people that don't know what waterfall bracket is, it's basically you have a bunch of people playing round robin in pools, and based on what placement you get in your pool, you get divided into like new pools of players, and then you can kind of climb from, like, if you get a 3rd seed, you only play with people that got 3rd seed, and then you guys play a new round robin, and if you place like among the best, you can climb up. So you might be able to climb your way back up to like top 32 and like potentially even win the entire tournament. Obviously that's not very likely if you got a 3rd seed in the first place, but that's pretty much the concept behind it. And I do think the system can be good if you play tournaments that are not super big. Like if you have a tournament like, let's say, Evo or Genesis with Smash 4 or Melee numbers, that's not going to be doable. It's too many sets. You're not going to be able to run the tournament at all. But if you have tournaments with like 200, 300, maybe 400 people, I can totally see that. Air in Europe was using a kind of similar thing, not quite the same thing, but similarities, that everyone in pools got divided into different brackets. You couldn't climb between, like, oh, if you got like not top 2, you couldn't play in the main bracket, but you still got to play with people around your skill level, the people that got the same seed. And I think the system is really good in especially in regards to lower level players and new players that might go to pretty big tournaments, and tournaments these days, they are pretty expensive, and going 0-2 or 1-2, I can understand if you feel like it's not super worth it. So if you have a tournament and it's reasonable to have waterfall brackets, I'll be fine with that idea for sure. New players is super important for our community, so I feel like sometimes you need to put priority on new players. Sometimes you need to put priority on the competitors that makes it far. But you can't put all the resources in one direction, but new players is what keeps this game alive. So waterfall brackets, when possible, a great system. And for growing the community, I feel like this kind of goes hand in hand with projects like the waterfall bracket. If you want to grow the community, you need to make sure that people that go for the first time come back a second time. That's really important. And that's something I feel like a lot of Smash majors lacks in at the moment. A lot of majors, it's so hard to find even TVs to play friendlies. So you're kind of like have to just watch Melee or Smash 4 or Smash 64. And that's not a bad thing, but I don't feel like it should be like, oh, the only thing I can do is watch tournament matches. Some tournaments are better than others with having like different side events, ladder, etc. But growing the community, you need to make sure that people that are new want to come back. So, and that can be done in many different ways. And I'm sure it's people out there with fantastic ideas that we should take into consideration for sure. I'm not really a TO myself these days, so it's not really my area of expertise any longer. But if TOs stay open-minded to new ideas, especially from new people, I think that could clearly boost up numbers, which benefits everyone that love this game or these games. But yeah, that's it for the Smash 64 section. But yeah, we're actually gonna go over one more topic today, which is gonna be 3 Smashers that I think impressed me a lot in 2017. And the first one I will mention is Wizrobe. Wizrobe has really stepped up his game this year. Like we all know, he took sets from HBox, he beat Mewtwo for the first time, and even though he was slightly below top 10 last year, I feel like he has very, very clearly established himself as a top 10 player this year. He does have a few bad losses, but to be fair, it's not that many of them, and he has a lot of good wins. He has some good records as well, being up, I think, 4-0 against SFAT, for example, and taking sets from 2 top 6 members, and he also have been pushing me and Plop to Game 5. He took his first game against Mango's Falco. He has been taking Mango to Game 5 in the past against his Fox. But we saw a glimmer of hope against Mango's Falco now. And even though I don't think he has really played Leffen this year, he has been pushing Leffen to game, like last game, a few times in the past. So if Wizrobe can just clean up his play a little bit more and get a little bit more clutch, who knows, maybe he's gonna be one of the people to challenge the top 6 even more next year. And the thing is also, Wizzy's very young. He's like 19 or something. So he has quite a few years less of experience than the other top 6, and despite that, he's still really pushing all of us. So yeah, Wizrobe really impressed me, and his tech chase game is absolutely crazy. It's the best in the world. So make sure to not get grabbed by Wizzy, guys. Another player that have impressed me a lot this year is Chudat. I know Chudat has had way more bad losses than Wizzy, but Chudat outside of the top 6 have the most set wins against top 6 members this year. He has a lot of set wins against Mewtwo and Mango respectively, and he also have one against Leffen, which I know it's a controversial set, but I'm pretty sure it got confirmed. It will count for the ranking. So in Chudat's case, I would say yes, his consistency hasn't really been there, but his peaks have been really high this year. And even though the first half of the year was way more impressive than the second, I still feel like that should not be easily forgotten. For some players, when they make a huge jump, and they get a lot of more pressure and expectations are higher, it takes time to adjust to that for some people. And even though Ciudad's been around for a long ass time, it was a long time ago he was competing for the absolutely like best spots in the world. So Ciudad, I kind of feel like it's a coin flip. Either he really starts picking it back up, or maybe it was just, you know, a few months of playing amazing and he doesn't really bounce back. But I want to believe that with his experience and the high peaks he had this year, that we might see some of that stuff in 2018 as well. And even if we don't, I still feel like Ciudad is a player that deserves to be mentioned here. And I do want to mention two more players as well, and one of them is S2J. S2J has kind of been in this ranking slots of like 15th, 16th-ish for quite a few years now, and it looked like he had a hard time to get out of that. He never really did worse, he never really did better, but I remember actually having a talk with him before EVO this year, and he told me that he really wanted to push for top 10, and he was super motivated about making it to top 10. He was tired of being stuck around his rank at 15th, 16th. So a lot of people, they say a lot, but they don't really work towards it, or at least not nearly enough. So when I had that talk with S2J, I didn't really think too much about it. Like, you hear these kind of things often. But then, shortly after, he actually stepped up his game a lot. He got a lot of top 8s. He got top 8 at GGX. He got top 8 at Big House. He got 3rd at Shine. And I know some people will say Plop Sam is blah blah blah, but he still beat Mewtwo King's Sheik. That was the first time he took a set of a top 6 member. So a lot of things have been going S2J's way this year. And even though his performance at Summit wasn't the best, I still think he deserved to be there, just because his results have been so good in the past few months. So S2J also a player to look out for sure in 2018. And the last player I want to mention is Drugged Fox. Drugged Fox, also a little bit like Ciudad, has not performed as well in the later parts of 2017, but he does have quite a few good runs this year as well. Royal Flush beating Leffen, for example. I believe he got 4th that tournament. Rivalries, another tournament where he performed well, beating quite many good players, and I think he placed 3rd in the end, something like that, 3rd. And he was even ranked, according to most people, number 11 on the summer list for 2017. And even though Drugged Fox was a Fox main in the past, he did play Fox and Sheik for a while before going back to Fox. And he climbed from like 20-ish up to 11. So, yeah. Drugged Fox have had periods of time this year when he has been looking very strong. So yeah, I'll say these 4 players are players that have impressed me quite a bit in 2017. And I know all of these players are very well known, but for this time I wanted to focus on players that already were pretty good, but still did even better for the most part. Oh yeah, actually, yeah, sorry. I actually forgot Crush entirely. AMSA, I want to say that I've played against AMSA in the past. I've seen him so much. So I think I have a higher, how do you say, higher expectations of AMSA than most people. So I can't really say he is super impressed me. I've always been super impressed So it's not like I'm surprised that he does well. But Crush actually, I forgot him for a second there. Crush has actually climbed the ranks like crazy. And I did get to play him in some friendlies at GTX and at Mango's Place for Summit 4.5. And that guy has been getting so much better this year. He is borderline top 20. I could see him get ranked top 20 this year. He's been taking a lot of good players. And I have big respect for that guy. Yeah, he's actually going to be one of the most interesting players in 2018. Because unlike some players I actually listed, Crush is actually, his trend has been going upwards lately for sure. With a lot of great placements. Even at the biggest kind of tournaments. So yeah, no, Crush clearly deserves to be mentioned as well. It's gonna be interesting to see if he actually can climb up towards the top 10.